Making headlines tonight, the President emphasizes that writers play the most important role in the development of the Divehi language. Several ambassadors has presented their letters of credence to the President, and the President proposes an amendment to the Constitution to hold the presidential and parliamentary elections simultaneously.
Welcome to the English News. I'm your host Malak Ahmad Fayaz. Now for the news in detail. President Dr. Mohammad Moizu emphasizes that writers play the most important role in the development of the Divehi language. He made these remarks via a social media post in celebration of National Writers' Day. National Writers' Day is celebrated annually on July 8th. This year's theme is "The role of writers is important for sustaining a civilized society." July 8th is marked as the National Writers' Day in the Maldives because it commemorates the publication of the first printed magazine in the country. The inaugural issue of Al-Islah was published on July 8, 1993. This milestone followed the introduction of the first constitution of the Maldives on December 22, 1932, which granted some press freedom. Several ambassadors and high commissioners presents their respective letters of credence to President Dr. Moizu. All the dignitaries were escorted from Republic Square to the President's office in a traditional cultural procession known as High Koro, featuring the Maldives National Defense Force (MNDF) drum and trumpet band. President Moizu officially accepted the credentials and extended a warm welcome to the ambassador, marking the beginning of his diplomatic mission in the Maldives.
The ambassador of the Kingdom of Thailand to the Maldives, Paitone Mahapannafon, has officially presented his letters of credence to President Dr. Moiz in a ceremony at the President's office. Following the presentation of credentials, President Dr. Moiz and the ambassador engaged in discussions aimed at enhancing bilateral cooperation between the Maldives and Thailand. The talks focused on several key areas, including the expansion of tourism and fisheries sectors and opportunities for growth in trade and investment. They also addressed the potential for human resource and capacity development initiatives to further strengthen the partnership between the two countries. The High Commissioner of the Republic of Zambia to the Maldives, Percy P. Chanda, has presented his letters of credence to President Dr. Moiz. This significant event marks the formal beginning of High Commissioner Chanda's diplomatic mission in the Maldives. Following the presentation of credentials, President Dr. Moiz and High Commissioner Chanda engaged in discussions aimed at enhancing bilateral cooperation between the two countries. The discussions focused on key areas of collaboration, including trade and tourism, with both leaders expressing their commitment to strengthening ties between Zambia and the Maldives. President Dr. Moiz has received the new appointed ambassador of the Republic of Korea, Myong Lee. Following the presentation, President Dr. Moiz and the ambassador held discussions on enhancing cooperation between the two nations. The talks centered on several key areas, including health sector development, where they explored opportunities for collaboration to improve public health services, tourism, with discussions on strengthening ties to boost mutual tourism interests, and technical capacity building, focusing on developing programs for public health and housing sector advancements. The newly appointed ambassador of the Republic of Romania to the Maldives, Steluta Arihaya, has presented her letters of credence to President Dr. Moiz. Following the presentation of credentials, President Dr. Moiz and the ambassador engaged in discussions aimed at enhancing bilateral cooperation between the Maldives and Romania. Their talks focused on several collaborative opportunities, including initiatives related to climate change, trade and tourism, with the aim of fostering mutual benefits for both the nations. The newly appointed ambassador of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan to the Maldives, Dr. Mayan Kharesat, has presented his letters of credence to President Dr. Moiz. The President expressed his enthusiasm for working together to strengthen the diplomatic relations between Jordan and the Maldives. Following the presentation of credentials, President Dr. Moise and the ambassador engaged in discussions aimed at enhancing the bilateral cooperation between their countries. The discussions included a focus on future collaboration in various sectors, and the Jordanian ambassador expressed gratitude for the hospitality extended to Jordanians in the Maldives during the COVID-19 pandemic. The ambassador of the Republic of Lithuania to the Maldives, Diana Mikeviciana, has presented her letters of credence to President Dr. Moise. This momentous event marks the beginning of a new chapter in diplomatic relations between the two countries. Following the presentation of credentials, President Dr. Moise and the ambassador engaged in discussions to explore avenues for enhancing bilateral cooperation. The conversation focused on potential collaborations in trade and economy, as well as advancements in information technology (IT), aiming to strengthen ties and foster mutual benefits between Lithuania and the Maldives. She is the first Lithuanian ambassador to be accredited to the Maldives, a significant milestone in the diplomatic relations between the two nations. The ambassador of the Republic of Turkey to the Maldives, Semih Lutfu Turgut, has presented his letters of credence to President Dr. Moise. Following the presentation of credentials, President Dr. Moise and the ambassador engaged in various discussions aimed at strengthening the bilateral cooperation between the Maldives and Turkey. The talks focused on several key areas including security cooperation, economic and trade relations, and advancements in the higher education sector. The President emphasized the commitment of both countries to further enhance their bilateral relations and explore new opportunities for collaboration.
President Dr. Mohammad Moise proposes an amendment to the Constitution to hold the presidential and parliamentary elections simultaneously. He made this proposal during a rally of the main ruling party, People's National Congress (PNC).
Speaking at the event, President Moise emphasized that combining the presidential and parliamentary elections would be the most cost-effective approach for the state. He noted that $11.6 million was spent on the two rounds of the 2023 presidential election and $7.8 million was spent on the last parliamentary election. Highlighting the 6-month gap between the presidential and parliamentary elections, the president explained that holding the two elections simultaneously could save around $7.8 million from the state budget. He suggested that these savings could be redirected towards societal development. President Moise announced that the proposed constitutional amendment would be submitted to the parliament later this year following a referendum to gather public opinion. He reiterated that holding the two elections together would be ideal if the public supports the amendment. The Elections Commission of the Maldives has stated that conducting the country's major elections separately is costly. The commission noted that the expenses for the presidential, parliamentary and local councils elections have been increasing annually.
President Dr. Mohammad Moise unveils plans for Special Asset Recovery Act aimed at reclaiming funds owed to the state with a strong emphasis on combating corruption. This announcement was made during a rally organized by the ruling party People's National Congress (PNC).
In his address, President Moise emphasized the need to investigate and recover money stolen through corrupt practices. He criticized previous administrations for their ineffective efforts, despite significant expenditures and the establishment of presidential commissions dedicated to asset recovery. According to the president, these attempts have not yielded the desired results. President Moise highlighted that the draft bill for the Special Asset Recovery Act is currently in progress. He acknowledged the challenges posed by existing laws in reclaiming lost state assets and stressed that the new bill would be crafted to meet international standards, incorporating recommendations from global bodies. A key aspect of the proposed legislation is its focus on recovering corrupt funds deposited in foreign countries. President Moise specifically mentioned the Maldives Marketing and Public Relations Corporation (MMPRC) corruption case, describing it as one of the most significant corruption scandals in the country's history. history. He pledged to identify the perpetrators and ensure justice is served. Furthermore, President Moise assured that his administration would work to eradicate the entrenched culture of corruption within the government, promising to govern with honesty and integrity. This commitment marks a pivotal move towards enhancing transparency and accountability in the Maldives' governance.
President Dr. Mohammad Moise announces his administration's intention to reduce the number of members in the parliament, councils and various institutions established under different laws aiming to cut state expenditure. He made this announcement during a rally organized by the ruling party People's National Congress (PNC).
At the rally, President Moise highlighted the inefficiency of electing a large number of members to the island councils, especially for islands with small populations. He suggested that a president and a vice president would be sufficient for such councils, deeming the current structure as ineffective. The president plans to propose amendments to the law to resize and restructure the island councils, making them smaller and more productive for the benefit of the people. Furthermore, President Moise emphasized the need to reduce the number of parliamentarians to 77 members, as was the case during the 17th Parliament. He argued that such a reduction would save hundreds of millions of public funds, which could then be redirected towards the development projects. He asserted that large number of council and parliament members, as well as commissions, are not necessary to serve the people effectively. The president also mentioned his plan to merge commissions with similar agendas to cut government expenditure and enhance productivity. These measures are part of a broader strategy by his administration to implement cost-saving reforms. A bill to amend the constitution to reduce and keep the number of parliamentarians constant is currently under consideration in Parliament, reflecting President Moise's commitment to these proposed changes.
Minister of Defense Mohammad Ghassan Mamoun praises President Dr. Mohammad Moise for elevating the national security of the Maldives. Speaking in an assembly held at the main office of the ruling party People's National Congress (PNC), Minister Ghassan emphasized the president's commitment to national security, which he prominently addressed during his campaign for the presidential elections. Minister Ghassan highlighted President Moise's strategic move to initiate the withdrawal of Indian troops stationed in the Maldives. The president, acting as the chief diplomat, negotiated with India to ensure the withdrawal was conducted diplomatically without causing any disadvantages to the Maldives. The minister reiterated that no foreign troops would remain in the country after May 9th. Following this initiative, President Moise has focused on strengthening the capabilities of the Maldives National Defense Force (MNDF). The minister noted that the creation of the Army, Air Force and the introduction of military drones as significant achievements that all citizens should take pride in. Minister Ghassan reassured the president of the military's unwavering commitment to safeguarding the country's freedom, sovereignty and independence. Minister of Economic Development and Trade Mohammad Saeed announces the establishment of an agricultural economic zone in Uturutila-Faro, UTF, aimed at cultivating 70% of approximately 15 varieties of vegetables and fruits commonly used in the Maldives.
Speaking at a meeting at the main office of the People's National Congress (PNC), Minister Saeed highlighted the nearing completion of the feasibility study for the UTF agricultural zone. The project aims to market 70% of the country's chicken eggs and chickens along with various vegetables and fruits. Significant international work is being conducted on the project, including studies on soil quality and sunshine in the Maldives carried out in international laboratories. Minister Saeed emphasized the project's potential to generate around 800 job opportunities in the Maldives. Local production of agricultural products is expected to reduce reliance on imports and lower food prices, leading to a 10 to 20% decrease in food costs and a significant reduction in imports, easing the burden on foreign exchange. President Dr. Mohammad Moise has prioritized food security challenges in the Maldives. In line with this, the Maldives Industrial Development Free Zone, MIDFZ, signed an agreement with China Harbour Engineering Company Limited, CHEC, in March this year. The agreement aims to establish an agricultural economic zone in UTF, including bridging UTF, developing primary infrastructure, creating an agricultural industrial park, and establishing passenger and freight terminals along with other related infrastructure facilities.
Minister of Economic Development and Trade Mohammad Saeed assures that the Maldives is on a path to economic improvement, emphasizing that the current administration will avoid undertaking burdensome debts. At a gathering held at the main office of the People's National Congress (PNC), Minister Saeed addressed concerns about the nation's economic health, reflecting on past challenges and outlining the government's approach to future financial strategies. He acknowledged that the Maldives' credit rating had declined from B+ to CCC-, attributing this downgrade primarily to this substantial debts incurred under previous administrations. Minister Saeed questioned the current administration's role in the nation's low credit rating, attributing the economic struggles faced by businesses to the previous government's irresponsible financial practices. He said the current administration's focus is on improving the nation's economic standing rather than further exacerbating the situation through additional debt. He explained that while the government is currently not seeking new loans for economic development, it is concentrating on managing existing debts and improving the country's financial health. He further noted that the administration is diligently working to establish repayment arrangements for the significant foreign loans of $400 million and $1 billion obtained from international institutions. Furthermore, the minister expressed optimism that through strategic financial reforms and responsible economic management, the nation will overcome its current challenges and achieve a stable and prosperous economic future. He added that the focus is on enhancing economic growth and ensuring that the country does not fall deeper into debt during President Dr. Moise's tenure. He also pointed out that previous administrations' economic policies led to a significant increase in state debt, with the Maldives Monetary Authority MMA reporting the printing of USD 531.7 million, adding the current administration has halted this practice and is making strategic decisions essential for economic reform and stability. Additionally, Minister Saeed noted that the economic deterioration under the previous administration had hindered the Maldives' ability to obtain financial assistance from international developmental banks. However, the current government is working to rebuild trust with these institutions by transparently explaining the economic situation and demonstrating the measures being taken to address it. The Ministry of Finance disperses $780,000 to Maldivian students studying abroad by July 4th alone. Speaking to PSMNEWS, Minister of State for Finance Ahmad Mazin said that there's a significant demand during January and July, as these are months when new courses commence. Highlighting the substantial number of Maldivian students studying overseas, he noted that $780,000 had already been dispersed by July 4th. He also confirmed that further disbursements are scheduled for this week and the next. Meanwhile, Minister of State for the Ministry of Higher Education, Employment and Skills Development, Ahmad Shafiu, emphasized that despite government spending cuts, there have been no reductions in the allocated funds or loans for students. He clarified that there have been no ongoing discussions to change these provisions. Additionally, State Minister Shafiu explained that financial matters pertaining to students are managed by the Finance Ministry. Once the required amounts are determined for students, he said that they are forwarded to the Finance Ministry for disbursement. Maldivian students abroad have their course fees, health insurance and visa expenses covered under government expenses. Deputy Minister of Finance Ahmad Said Mustafa announces the government's aim to establish a system where subsidies are available only to individuals that are eligible to them.
The budget for this year includes subsidy reforms aimed at reducing expenditure. Speaking to PSMNEWS, Deputy Minister Said explained the budget for this year includes amendments to subsidy reforms. He, however, said that when the current government took office, the work to implement these changes was incomplete. He noted that while the framework for these reforms was conceptually prepared when the budget was passed, the technical work and action plan were not finished by the time the current government assumed office. Additionally, Deputy Minister Said said that the government is committed to subsidy reform in line with its principles, prioritizing fiscal reforms that ensure government assistance reaches those who need it most. He assured that government financial assistance would be provided without discrimination to the poor individuals in the Maldives. The latest statistics released by the government show that the subsidy budget for this year is $182 million, with $110 million already spent. The National Health Insurance Scheme Asanda is expected to spend $123 million this year, with $60 million spent so far.
6 expatriates involved in operating businesses illegally have been arrested. Maldives Immigration stated that under the special operations targeting small and medium enterprises, SMEs, 2 markets were investigated and approved. During the raid, 6 individuals were arrested, including 4 men and 2 women. The immigration revealed plans to continue and expand the operations. Under the joint operations, in collaboration with the Maldives Police Service, MPS, 2 foreigners involved in illegal foreign exchange activities and 8 individuals running coffee shops have been taken into the custody of the immigration. The individuals held in custody stay at the detention center. Addressing the issue of illegal immigrants, Controller General of Immigration, Mohammad Shamman, stated that identifying expatriates involved in businesses, activities which are not permitted, and taking legal action against them are their current priority. Shamman emphasizes the immigration's efforts to resolve the issue, affirming that the current operations will not be halted. The government is making strategic efforts to tackle this issue. As such, the government aims to expand this operation across all islands nationwide within the next year and collect information about immigrants to be easily accessed in a single database. The government also targets to solve the issue of illegal immigrants completely within 3 years. Samsung Electronics workers in South Korea braved the rain to chant slogans and raise their fists in unison as they kicked off a 3-day strike demanding for better pay. The National Samsung Electronics Union, NSEU, whose roughly 30,000 members make up over about 24% of the firm's South Korean workforce, also wants an extra day of annual leave for unionized workers. The union's first industrial action last month involved coordinating annual leave to stage a mass walkout, which Samsung said had no impact on business activity. The firm said on Monday there was no disruption in production. The union flagged further action against the country's biggest conglomerate should demands not be met. The union, which did not disclose last month's strike participation levels, said 6,540 workers will be striking this week, mostly at manufacturing sites and in product development. It said the strike includes workers who monitor automated production lines and equipment, so operations could be affected. Analysts say that low participation and automated production means the strike is unlikely to have a major impact on the company's output. Still, it signals a decline in staff morale at a pivotal point in the chip industry as tech firms embrace artificial intelligence, AI. Lee Hyun-kook, the union's vice president, said that there could be further strikes if Samsung does not improve its proposals. Lee told reporters that Samsung's proposals include flexibility in pay and annual leave conditions but do not meet union demands of increased pay and leave. Union officials also want equality in the bonus system. They said bonuses for rank-and-file workers are calculated by deducting the cost of capital from operating profit, whereas those for executives are based on personal performance goals. Samsung share price performance has lagged compatriot chip rival SK Hynix, with union officials blaming Samsung's AI woe on slow development in high-bandwidth memory HBM chips that are in high demand for use in AI processors. Even so, Samsung estimated at more than 15-fold rise in second quarter operating profit on Friday as rebounding chip prices driven by AI boom lifted earnings from the year prior's low comparison base. Its share price was up 0.2% in afternoon trade on Monday after rising as much as 1.72% early in the session to its highest since January 2021. Last week, it jumped 6.9% on preliminary quarterly earnings that exceeded analyst estimates. U.S. President Joe Biden campaigns in Pennsylvania as he faces escalating pressure from fellow Democrats worried about his candidacy. An embattled U.S. President Joe Biden faced escalating pressure from fellow Democrats worried about his candidacy on Sunday, concerns he worked to ease with campaign stops in the battleground state of Pennsylvania. Biden has faced growing calls to end his re-election bid after a halted performance in a June 27 debate, with Republican Donald Trump raised questions about his ability to do the job for another 4 years. He has vowed to stay in the race, dismissing calls for him to drop out as nonsense in a fundraising email. On Sunday, the Democratic president received a warm welcome in Philadelphia and later traveled to the Pennsylvania state capital, Harrisburg, for an event with union members. On a leadership call on Sunday called by House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, some House Democrats said that Biden should step aside as presidential candidate, a source familiar with the discussions told Reuters. Pennsylvania is one of the half-dozen or so states that can swing Democratic or Republican and are expected to determine the outcome of what has been a tight race. This trip, Biden's 10th to Pennsylvania during the 2024 election cycle, is part of a July voter outreach blitz by the Democratic Party that includes a $50 million media campaign aimed at events such as the Olympics and travel by the President, the First Lady, Vice President Kamala Harris, and her husband to every battleground state. Pressure from Congress is expected to ramp up in the coming days as lawmakers return to Washington from a holiday recess and donors mull their willingness to keep funding Biden's campaign. Biden is also preparing to host dozens of world leaders at a high-stakes NATO summit in Washington this week and hold a rare solo news conference. Number 19 seed Emma Navarro continues her breakout season by dispatching number 2 seed Goff 6-4, 6-3 at Wimbledon to reach the first Grand Slam quarter-final of her career. Navarro controlled the round of 16 match against her fellow American while winning in just 74 minutes. She will face 7th-seeded Italian Jasmine Paolini in the quarters in London. Goff, the reigning US Open champion, has never reached the Wimbledon quarter-finals and was plagued by 25 enforced errors while accumulating just 12 winners. Her loss is a stunner, but Goff said people shouldn't be surprised when a lower seed beats a higher one. Navarro won the NCAA Women's Single Championship at Virginia in 2021 and picked up her first WTA crown in January by beating Elise Mertens of Belgium in the Hobart International in Australia. Her win over Goff was her second over number 2 ranked player this year. She beat then number 2 Aryna Sabalenka of Belarus in 3 sets at Indian Wells in March. And there was heartbreak for British fans as their last hope, Emma, a 123rd ranked qualifier Lulu Sun, who sealed a 6-2, 5-7, 6-2 win over the wild card. Emma knew all about the dangers posed by qualifiers at the majors after she herself had triumphed as one at the US Open nearly 3 years ago. Yet Sun's performance was so impressive that even Emma must have been slightly astonished by the ice cool composure and unflappable bravery the New Zealander showed to outplay the 2021 Flushing Meadows champion in front of a pumped-up home crowd on centre court. Paramount Global's board of directors approved a merger with Skydance Media, endorsing a deal that would combine one of Hollywood's oldest studios with the up-and-coming production company. A final agreement on the Paramount Skydance deal could be announced soon, culminating months of talks that appeared to have derailed when Redstone abruptly called off negotiations on June 11th. The companies agreed to a 2-step process in which Skydance and its deal partners will acquire National Amusements, which holds the Redstone family's controlling stake in Paramount, for $2.4 billion in cash. Skydance will subsequently merge with Paramount, offering $4.5 billion in cash or stock to shareholders and providing an additional $1.5 billion for Paramount's balance sheet. The deal represents the end of an era for Shari Redstone, whose father and late patriarch, Salman Redstone, transformed the family's chain of drive-in movie theaters into a media empire that included Paramount Pictures, the CBS Broadcast Network, and cable television networks Comedy Central, Nickelodeon, and MTV. The merger would combine Paramount, home of such classic films as Chinatown, The Godfather, and Breakfast at Tiffany's, with its financial partner on several major recent films including Top Gun Maverick, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, and Star Trek Into Darkness. David Ellison, the 41-year-old tech scion who founded Skydance, will become chairman and chief executive of the new Paramount. Jeff Shell, former chief executive of NBC Universal, will be its new president. The deal would elevate David Ellison, the 41-year-old tech scion who founded Skydance, as Hollywood's newest power broker. He stands to inherit a media company that has a mountain of challenges as it navigates an entertainment business upended by the streaming video revolution. That's all the news we have for today. Thank you all for watching.